The family sat in silence, tears streaming as they prepared to say goodbye. The tiny puppy wrapped his paws around his owner's neck in one final hug. But just as the vet prepared the injection, he noticed something unusual, something that would change everything. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The little German Shepherd had been the light of the household from the very first day. They named him Rex, a name that felt far too big for such a tiny body, but one he quickly grew into, with his boundless energy. But then, almost without warning, everything changed. Rex stopped bounding toward the door when the children came home from school. His once bright eyes dulled and his playful bark became a faint whimper. The family thought it was just a passing bug, something a few days of rest would fix. Days stretched into weeks and, instead of improving, Rex grew weaker. He struggled to stand, his breathing shallow, his tiny chest rising and falling in uneven rhythms. Alarmed, they rushed him to the vet, praying it was nothing serious. The vet's face grew grim as he examined Rex, running tests and listening to his fragile heartbeat. After what felt like an eternity, he sighed. I'm afraid it's bad. His organs are failing. There's nothing more we can do. The room fell silent. Their beloved puppy had been given a death sentence. The day of the appointment arrived far too quickly. The family walked into the clinic in silence, each step heavy with dread. The mother carried Rex wrapped in a soft blanket, his tiny body pressed against her chest. He was so still now, only his faint breaths proving he was still with them. They were led into a quiet room at the back, away from the sounds of barking dogs and meowing cats. It was furnished with a small couch, dim lighting, and a box of tissues sitting on the table. A room designed for goodbyes. The children sat close to their father, clutching each other's hands. Tears streamed down their cheeks as they whispered, "We love you, Rex. You're the best boy." The mother placed him gently on her lap, stroking his ears, the way he had always liked. His tail gave the faintest wag as if he understood. The vet entered softly, carrying the small tray that would end Rex's pain. He spoke kindly, his voice heavy with compassion. "Take your time. I'll be here when you're ready." The family bent over him, showering him with kisses and trembling words. They believed this was the last time they would ever feel his warmth. The room was thick with sorrow, every second stretching unbearably long. The vet prepared the syringe quietly, giving the family space for their final moments. Rex lay limp in his owner's arms, his breathing shallow, his small body wrapped in the blanket that had once carried him home as a puppy. And then something stirred. With what little strength he had left, Rex lifted his head and pressed it against his owner's chest. His tiny paws reached upward, curling weakly around the man's neck in what could only be described as a hug. For a moment, everyone froze. The children gasped. The mother covered her mouth and tears spilled down the father's cheeks. It was as if Rex knew, as if he was saying, "Thank you. Don't forget me." The father's sobs broke into the stillness, his arms tightening around his pup. I'm so sorry, boy. I love you, he whispered, his voice shaking. But just as the family braced for the inevitable, the vet's eyes narrowed. He leaned closer, listening intently to Rex's chest, his brow furrowing. Something about the rhythm of his breathing. It didn't match the failing organs he had expected. He slowly lowered the syringe. Wait, he murmured. Something's not right here. The family looked up in confusion there. Tears momentarily halted by the vet's sudden change in tone. The father loosened his grip just enough for the vet to examine Rex more closely. He placed a stethoscope gently against the puppy's fragile chest, his expression shifting from concern to shock. The steady rhythm of Rex's heartbeat echoed through the room, not the faint failing sound of an animal at death's door, but something stronger, determined, fighting. The vet's hands trembled slightly as he leaned back, muttering under his breath, This isn't organ failure." The mother's eyes widened. "What do you mean? You said he was dying." The vet took a deep breath, his voice measured yet urgent. "I did. Oh." The symptoms pointed to it. Weakness, loss of appetite, shallow breathing. "But there's something else here. Listen." He gestured for them to come closer as he shifted the stethoscope so they could hear it too. The father leaned in, pressing his ear near the puppy's chest, his eyes filled with disbelief. The heartbeat wasn't fading. It was strong, irregular, but steady. Rex wasn't giving up. The vet's gaze sharpened. "This isn't a goodbye moment. This is something entirely different." The vet stood abruptly, his voice cutting through the heavy silence. "We need to act now." He pressed a button on the wall, summoning a nurse. The family exchanged startled looks, their tears replaced by fragile hope. Rex whimpered softly as the vet gently lifted him from the father's arms, placing him onto a padded stretcher. "It's not organ failure," the vet explained quickly. "I suspect an obstruction, something blocking his airway or affecting his heart rhythm. If I'm right, this is treatable, but we don't have much time." The mother's hands flew to her mouth. "You mean he could survive?" The vet nodded firmly. "If we move fast, yes, but he's very weak. It will be risky." The family huddled together, desperation etched on their faces. The father's voice cracked. "Do whatever it takes. Just save him." Nurses wheeled Rex down the hallway, monitors beeping as they rushed him into the emergency room. The doors swung shut, leaving the family behind. They collapsed onto the waiting chairs, gripping each other's hands, their hearts pounding with fear. Minutes felt like hours. Every sound in the corridor made them flinch. For the first time since this nightmare began, there was something they hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Behind the swinging doors, the veterinary team worked quickly. Rex was placed on the table, a mask fitted gently over his muzzle to help him breathe. The vet's eyes narrowed as he studied the scans. "There," he muttered, pointing at the screen. "It's not organ failure. It's a blockage pressing against his airway." Every second counted. With steady hands he prepared for the delicate procedure. Nurses passed instruments. The room filled with the rhythmic beeping of monitors. Rex's tiny chest rose and fell unevenly, fighting with every breath. Meanwhile, in the waiting room, the family sat in silence. The father clasped his hands tightly, whispering prayers. The children leaned against their mother, too drained to cry anymore. They could only wait. Hours slipped by like lifetimes. Then finally the doors open. The vet emerged, his face tired, but carrying the smallest of smiles. "He's stable," he said. "We removed the blockage. It'll take time, but he has a real chance now." The mother burst into tears, this time of relief. The children jumped up, hugging each other. The father closed his eyes, whispering, "Thank you." For the first time in weeks, their hearts felt light. Rex had been given another chance at life. The first night after surgery was fragile. Every rise and fall of Rex's chest washed with anxious eyes. But by morning there was a spark, a small wag of his tail when the children whispered his name. It was faint, but it was life. Days turned into a week. Rex began nibbling at his food again, then standing shakily on his paws. Each step he took was met with cheers and tears from his family. Soon, the once dying puppy was chasing toys down the clinic hallway, his energy returning like a miracle. The vet smiled every time he saw him. This little fighter wasn't ready to give up, he said, and the family couldn't agree more. Weeks later, Rex bounded through the front yard, his paws kicking up grass as the children laughed and chased after him. The same puppy they once prepared to say goodbye to was now alive, stronger and more joyful than ever. The father often found himself watching Rex at night, tears welling in his eyes. "You saved us as much as we saved you," he whispered, scratching behind his ears. The vet too reflected on the miracle, reminding the family that hope should never be surrendered too quickly. Their story became more than survival. It became a testament to love, perseverance, and faith. Because sometimes, even at the edge of goodbye, life can surprise you with a second chance.